After moving back to my hometown to embrace the slow life, I opened a small convenience store right across from the local elementary school. My days consisted of binge watching Netflix behind the counter and dealing with kids. Around noon, a little boy walked in and stared a hole right through me. I opened my mouth to ask what he wanted, but a voice suddenly echoed in my head. Is this the woman Dad is going to marry? She's not even pretty. Why would Dad like her? Those live stream comments said that if Dad marries her, I'll get bullied for years. Even if I break her legs and cripple her when I grow up, that means I won't be a good kid anymore. But she has so many tacos and hot dogs on the roller. I really want some. What do I do? My stomach dropped. An image of my own legs getting snapped in half flashed through my mind. Hi. Did you know my dad doesn't wipe his butt after he poops? The kid asked, his face dead serious. Huh. I snapped back to reality. I was so caught up in the phantom pain of my broken legs that I totally missed what he actually said. I'm telling the truth. My dad is super gross. He doesn't wash his hands after using the bathroom, and he doesn't wipe his butt. He doesn't like taking showers either, and he never brushes his teeth. He's a really disgusting person. The kid babbled this nonsense while his eyes remained glued to the hot dog roller on the counter. He licked his lips over and over, swallowing hard. My teacher said nobody likes gross people. I made Dad sound so disgusting, she definitely won't like him anymore. Right? But if she marries Dad, does that mean I get to eat tacos and hot dogs every single day? No, no, no. The livestream comments said she's an evil stepmom. Super evil. I can't let her marry Dad. On the outside, he played it cool. Inside, the kid was spiraling. I smirked. Your dad is that gross? Well, what a shame. I have a thing for gross guys. Let's see how he handles that. After calling me ugly in his head, teasing him aside, a wave of relief washed over me. Thank God I could hear this kid's inner monologue. Becoming his stepmom and getting my legs broken sounded like an absolute nightmare. Beads of sweat popped up on the little guy's forehead. His tiny fists grabbed handfuls of his school uniform shirt. Why are you like this? He squeaked, his voice cracking. I just told you my dad is gross. Panic spiked in my chest as his eyes welled up. Making a kid cry was not on my agenda today. Graham, are you here to pick up tacos off the floor again? He totally is. No dropped snacks in the classroom, so he came to the store to scrounge. Watch out, lady, he's definitely trying to steal your snacks. 5 or 6 kids swarmed into the store, their voices overlapping in a noisy chorus. Graham pressed his back against the wall at the side of them, slid toward the door, and bolted out of sight. You guys know him? I asked. That's Graham. He's in our class. He's so broke he can't even afford his own snacks. So he sneaks around eating the tacos I drop on the floor. The chubby kid waved a fresh bag in his hand and slapped $2 on the counter. Lady, he even picked up my empty chip bags to lick them. Graham is a total beggar. A little girl grabbed a pack of ramen snacks and handed me $1. Was his family really that poor? The swarm of kids scattered like a kicked ant hill. I stood up to close the glass door. Glancing across the street, I spotted Graham. He sat in the very front row of his classroom, his desk perfectly aligned with my store entrance. The second our eyes met, his head snapped down. By noon, he was back. He didn't come inside this time. Just hovered by the door like a tiny security guard. I have to keep an eye on her. If Dad shows up, I'll tell him she hit me. She's a bad woman. Those live stream comments said that if Dad marries her, I'll get bullied for years, even if I break her legs and cripple her when I grow up. That means I won't be a good kid anymore. As long as Dad doesn't see her, he can't marry her. I want to be a good kid. I don't want to hit people, but I don't want to get hit either. Man, those hot dogs smell so good. Though the kid's mental chatter was giving me a headache. I grabbed a bamboo skewer, stabbed a plump, split open hot dog from the roller, and held it out to him. On the house. I couldn't imagine being so broke that eating floor snacks seemed like a solid life choice. Then again, remembering my own childhood. Yeah, I got it. He sniffed the air, his eyes tracking the sausage. I don't have any money. It's on the house. I practically shoved the hot dog into his face. Graham started, but his teeth sank right into the meat. Savory juices coated his lips. He clamped his mouth shut, chewing aggressively, swallowing whatever protest he had lined up. This is amazing. It's way better than the beef Wellington our Michelin-starred chef makes at home. If she just promises not to hit me, I could have unlimited hot dogs. Are those live stream comments lying? She gave me a free hot dog. She doesn't seem like an evil woman. The kid was so hungry he was hallucinating Michelin-starred chefs. Beef Wellington? Sure, buddy. Still, the nerve of those supposed internet commenters. Me? An evil stepmom? Please. Look, if you want hot dogs, just swing by after school. I told him. I'll hook you up. Just don't eat too many or you'll get a stomachache. The leftover sausages had to be tossed at the end of the day anyway. Throwing them in the trash was just a waste. For free. Graham gripped the greasy bamboo skewer. His eyes practically bugging out of his head. Yeah, free. They're leftovers. If you don't eat them, they go in the dumpster. He didn't say another word. He just carefully tucked the empty skewer into his pocket and walked away. But from that day on, he showed up like clockwork every afternoon when school let out. Ready to clear out my leftover stock. Fresh out of hot dogs today? Try these. I opened the bag and couldn't finish them. I tossed a half-full bag of potato chips onto the counter. If he kept housing processed meat every day, he was going to get sick. You drink Coke? I bought the big bottle by mistake and it's going flat. Want these ramen snacks? I bought the wrong flavor. It didn't matter what I threw his way. He demolished everything, looking like he just won the lottery. Coke is incredible. Way better than that gross bird's nest soup. Wow, ramen snacks are so crunchy and savory. That fancy artisan pasta I had last night was garbage compared to this. What do I do? I kind of want her to marry Dad now. She's amazing. She has all the best snacks. No. Pull it together, Graham. The livestream comments warned me about this. It's a trap. She's just trying to buy my love so she can become my stepmom. He aggressively crunched on his chips, his inner monologue running a mile a minute. I just leaned against the counter, swiping aimlessly on my phone, eavesdropping on every single ridiculous thought. Lady, did you know? Nope. I leaned across the counter, purposely stringing him along. His face flushed. I haven't even finished yet. Okay, spill. Did you know my dad actually sucks? He's always working, even when he eats. He's so busy he can't even remember my birthday or my mom's birthday. My mom always said he wasn't a good man. He has a terrible temper, too. All he has to do is glare and his whole team of Wall Street lawyers is too scared to say a word. So. Lady. He pivoted, zeroing in on the one topic I hated most. Do you have a husband? No. I snapped, tossing a rag onto the counter. His eyes darted around the store. Well, if you ever look for a husband, definitely don't pick someone like my dad. My mom said marrying him was the biggest regret of her entire life. I laid it on pretty thick. She definitely won't like Dad now. Right? But Maxine said Dad is the most powerful man ever, and he always gets whatever he wants. What do I do? What if Dad forces her to marry him? Every single time Graham stepped foot in my store. His mind was stuck on a loop of me becoming his stepmom. For over a month, he relentlessly trash-talked his dad just to ruin the guy's image. I was practically getting a stress rash just listening to it. Tegan, why don't you get a real job? I'm working right now. Running this store is a job. Tegan, why don't you get a husband? 'Cause I'm terrified of ending up with a guy as gross as your dad. Over time, we fell into an easy rhythm. He dropped the lady and just used my name. And I started calling him little bro. How about I introduce you to a super hot guy? My uncle is incredibly handsome. Once the kid figured out I didn't even have a boyfriend, he took it upon himself to play matchmaker. I brushed it off. Tegan, come out here. The very next morning, right after homeroom, Graham was banging on my glass door. And this is. I gestured to the person next to him. My uncle. Isn't he handsome? As long as you give him a free hot dog. He agreed to be your boyfriend. Graham practically vibrated with excitement. If she gets a boyfriend, Dad can't bring her home. Aunt is way better than stepmom, and I still get unlimited snacks. His internal monologue was even more chaotic. I stared at the uncle. How old is he? Has he even finished middle school? This kid was going to get me arrested. The teenage boy beside him picked nervously at his cuticles. I'm an 8th grader. Graham said you were single and dragged me over here. He said older women are lucky, and marrying you is like winning the lottery. I rolled my eyes. All right. I don't date little kids. I turned around, grabbed 2 bags of tacos, and shoved one into each of their hands. The hot dogs aren't ready yet. Get back to class. The second they saw the snacks, they ripped the bags open. Let me try yours. Here. Trade you. The 2 of them trudged slowly back toward the school gates. Swapping handfuls of junk food, watching them walk away. I let out a long breath. Broke kids really just hung out with other broke kids. Neither of them could even afford their own snacks. Tegan, look who I brought. It was late Friday evening when Graham finally showed up. About time, kid. I was 2 seconds away from tossing these in the trash. I called out. I pushed the glass door open. A hot dog slathered in sweet chili sauce in each hand, and stopped dead in my tracks. I stopped dead in my tracks. Graham wasn't alone. Standing behind him was a man in a charcoal suit, one hand resting loosely in his pocket. He looked completely out of place on my little street, where people wore slippers to buy milk and everyone knew everyone's business. He was tall, annoyingly handsome, and looked like he'd stepped out of some expensive advertisement. Graham beamed. Tegan, meet my dad. My stomach dropped. Oh, no. The man looked at me. I looked at him. Then Graham's thoughts exploded. She's prettier than I remembered. Wait. She's really pretty. Oh no. Dad is going to like her. This is bad. This is very bad. I nearly dropped the hot dogs. The man extended his hand. Adrian. His voice was calm and deep. I stared at his hand. Then at Graham. You brought your father here? Graham nodded enthusiastically. Yes. He wanted to meet you. Adrian's eyebrow lifted. I did? Graham's smile froze. Oh crap. Dad wasn't supposed to ask questions. I told him Tegan gives me free food. I also told him she's single. And nice. And that she likes gross men. Why did I say that? I slowly turned toward Graham. You told him all that? He immediately looked at the floor. Adrian's mouth twitched. Apparently, my son has been talking about you quite a lot. He's been talking about you too, I said. Graham's head snapped up. I smiled sweetly. Apparently, you're a terrible father. Adrian looked at his son. Graham. The boy went pale. I was protecting her. From what? From you. Adrian blinked. I covered my mouth to hide my laugh. Graham pointed at me. The live stream said if you married her, she'd become an evil stepmom. Adrian's expression changed. What live stream? Graham froze. His face slowly turned toward me. I already knew what he was thinking. Abort. Abort mission. Why did I say that out loud? I crouched down until we were eye level. Little bro. He swallowed. Yes? What's this live stream? I don't know. You just mentioned it. I forgot. You forgot what you just said? Yes. Convenient. He grabbed his father's sleeve. Dad, I need to go home. Adrian didn't move. Who told you that Tegan would hurt you? Graham's fingers tightened around his sleeve. No one. Then why have you been watching her every day? Graham stared at the floor. I expected him to lie. Instead, his tiny shoulders sagged. Because I don't want her to marry you. Adrian stared at him. And why not? Because then she'd be my stepmom. So? Step-parents are evil. I snorted. Wow. Graham looked at me apologetically. You're the exception. Thanks. He nodded solemnly. You're a really good exception. Adrian rubbed his forehead. I see. Graham suddenly shoved something toward me. A crumpled envelope. What's this? My savings. I opened it. A few coins and several wrinkled bills fell into my palm. I've been saving so I can buy you hot dogs. My chest tightened. Graham. I don't want everything to be free. He looked embarrassed. I just didn't have enough before. Adrian's face became unusually serious. I glanced at him. For the first time, I understood why Graham had been so terrified of money. The kid wasn't spoiled. He was hungry. And somehow, this terrifyingly expensive-looking man hadn't noticed. I handed the money back. Keep it. But. You're my little bro. Little brothers don't pay for hot dogs. His eyes brightened. Adrian suddenly spoke. How much has he been eating? I looked at Graham. 4 hot dogs a day. Adrian's eyes widened. 4? Graham quickly defended himself. They're leftovers. I laughed. Mostly. Adrian sighed. Then he looked at me. I owe you an apology. For what? My son has apparently been treating your store like a free cafeteria. I shrugged. He's not hurting anybody. He also told me you were trying to seduce me with processed meat. I choked. Graham's face went crimson. I did not. You absolutely did. I said maybe. I burst out laughing. Even Adrian smiled. It was the first time I'd seen his serious face crack. And unfortunately, it made him even more attractive. Graham noticed. His eyes widened. Oh no. She thinks Dad is handsome. This is getting worse. He grabbed my sleeve. Tegan. Yeah? You promised you don't like normal men. I never said that. You said you liked gross men. I was teasing you. He looked horrified. Then my entire plan was useless. Adrian frowned. What plan? Graham looked between us. Then, with the doomed bravery of a child who had already said too much, he pointed at his father. I've been trying to make Tegan hate you for 2 months. Adrian went silent. I couldn't help it. I started laughing so hard I had to lean against the counter. Graham covered his face. I knew I should have kept my mouth shut. Adrian sighed. Yes. Then he looked at me. Would you like to have dinner with us? I raised an eyebrow. Is this because you owe me? No. Then why? He glanced at Graham. My little bro was practically vibrating. Because Adrian said, I'd like to properly thank the woman who's been feeding my son. Graham's eyes lit up. Yes. Dinner. If Tegan likes Dad, I'm doomed. But if Dad likes Tegan, maybe I'll get hot dogs forever. He paused. Wait. That's actually not a bad deal. I laughed. Fine. Graham pumped his fist. Adrian looked at me. Tomorrow? Tomorrow. Graham suddenly looked terrified again. Oh no. They're going on a date. I pointed at him. Don't worry, little bro. He looked up. I'm not marrying your father tomorrow. His shoulders relaxed. Good. Then he thought about it. But maybe later? He stared at me suspiciously. I need to investigate this woman. I smiled. Your investigation is going to have to wait. School starts Monday. His face fell. That's cruel. Adrian took his hand. Come on. Graham reluctantly followed him toward the door. Then he turned around. Tegan. What? Save me 4 hot dogs. I grinned. 5. His face lit up. Adrian opened the door. Graham walked out beside him. And as they crossed the street, I heard one final thought from the little menace. Dad is definitely going to marry her. I have to make sure she keeps giving me free snacks. I stared after him. Then I laughed. Apparently, becoming a stepmother wasn't the nightmare I had imagined. The real danger was becoming Graham's personal hot dog supplier. The next afternoon, I locked the convenience store an hour early. I changed out of my work clothes, fixed my hair, and stared at myself in the mirror. I wasn't nervous about Adrian. At least, that's what I told myself. Then my phone buzzed. Adrian, I'm outside. I looked through the window. His black car was parked across the street. Graham was sitting in the back seat, practically glued to the glass. The second he saw me, his eyes widened. She's dressed up. Dad is going to lose his mind. I rolled my eyes and walked outside. Graham immediately opened the door. Tegan. Hey, little bro. He looked me up and down. You look different. Good different or bad different? Expensive. I laughed. That's not an answer. Graham leaned closer and whispered, Dad changed his shirt 3 times. Adrian coughed from the driver's seat. Graham. What? It's true. I climbed into the passenger seat. Adrian glanced at me. You look beautiful. Thank you. Graham's eyes darted between us. They're flirting. Already. This dinner is going terribly. Adrian started driving. I expected some fancy restaurant downtown. Instead, he pulled into a small family-owned barbecue place. I looked at him. This isn't what I expected. I remembered you said you liked simple food. I smiled. You remembered? Apparently, I'd been listening. Graham looked offended. Dad remembers what Tegan likes but forgot my birthday. He immediately added. Actually, Dad remembered my birthday. He just had a meeting. Still counts. I glanced at him through the rearview mirror. What's wrong? Nothing. His inner voice screamed otherwise. We sat down, ordered food, and Graham immediately attacked a plate of ribs. Adrian watched him. Slow down. I'm hungry. You ate before we left. That was 3 hours ago. It's been 40 minutes. Graham ignored him. I laughed. Let him eat. Adrian looked at me. You spoil him. Someone has to. The words came out more sharply than I intended. Adrian's expression changed. I looked down at my menu. Graham stopped chewing. Oh. She really does care about me. He stared at his father. Dad better not mess this up. Adrian leaned back. You've been taking care of him without knowing anything about us. I knew he was hungry. That's enough? Sometimes. He studied me for a moment. Then he said quietly, his mother died when he was 4. I froze. Graham's fork stopped halfway to his mouth. Adrian continued. She was sick for a long time. After she died, I focused on work because I didn't know what else to do. Graham looked down. I suddenly understood all those comments about his mother. The kid wasn't trying to ruin his father's relationships because he was spoiled. He was terrified of losing another person. I reached across the table and tapped his arm. You don't have to worry about me disappearing. Graham looked up. I wasn't worried. You were. No. You literally spend every day spying on me. His ears turned red. I was doing security. Sure. Adrian laughed under his breath. Graham glared at him. Don't laugh. I didn't. You did. I smiled. For the first time, dinner felt easy. Until the restaurant door opened. A woman walked inside. She spotted Adrian. Her face immediately brightened. Adrian? He turned. His expression hardened. The woman walked over. Gosh, it's really you. Graham's fork dropped. His inner voice exploded. Oh no. Why is she here? That's Dad's old girlfriend. The one from the comments. The one who said she'd marry Dad. I looked at the woman. She smiled at me. Who's this? Adrian answered calmly. Tegan. The woman's smile disappeared. Oh. She looked me over. Then she looked at Graham. So this is why you haven't answered my calls? Adrian frowned. I've been busy. Busy with her? Graham suddenly grabbed my sleeve. Don't leave. Please don't leave. She's going to make Tegan hate Dad. I squeezed his hand. The woman noticed. Her eyes narrowed. So you've already gotten close to his son. I smiled politely. He's my little bro. Graham nodded. She's my favorite person. The woman blinked. Adrian looked surprised. I nearly laughed. Graham realized what he'd said. Oops. The woman folded her arms. Adrian, can I speak with you privately? No. She stiffened. I think you owe me an explanation. I don't. You can't just replace someone after everything we went through. Graham's face fell. I looked at Adrian. He didn't hesitate. There was never anything to replace. The woman went pale. Adrian continued. We ended things months ago. You refused to accept it. She stared at him. You've changed. No. He glanced at me. I just met someone I don't want to lose. My heart skipped. Graham's jaw dropped. Dad. What? He said it. The woman stormed away. I looked at Adrian. That was direct. I didn't want you. Misunderstanding. I wasn't. Good. Graham suddenly stood on his chair. Does this mean Tegan is your girlfriend? The entire restaurant looked over. Adrian slowly closed his eyes. Graham. What? I covered my face. The kid's thoughts were racing. Please say yes. Please say yes. Please say yes. Adrian looked at me. I looked at him. Then I smiled. Ask your dad. Graham's eyes became enormous. Adrian stared at me for several seconds. Then he smiled. I'd like her to be. Graham screamed. Yes. Everyone in the restaurant turned toward us. I burst out laughing. And somehow, in the middle of a cheap barbecue restaurant with a child celebrating like he'd won the lottery, I realized something. I had moved home expecting a quiet life. Instead, I had accidentally acquired a hungry little brother, a ridiculously handsome man, and a family I never planned for. And judging by Graham's thoughts, he had already decided the wedding menu. 5 hot dogs per guest. Unlimited tacos. And absolutely no vegetables. 3 months later, my little convenience store had become the most popular place in town. Not because of the drinks. Not because of the snacks. Because Graham had somehow turned it into his personal headquarters. Every afternoon, he came through the door, dropped his backpack behind the counter, and announced, "I'm home." I would point toward the refrigerator. "Homework first." His face would fall. "You're worse than Dad. Your father let you eat candy for breakfast." "Exactly. He's fun." From the corner, Adrian would shake his head. "Don't encourage him." Graham would grin. Too late. Some things never changed. Graham still heard my thoughts. I still heard his. And his inner monologue remained completely ridiculous. "I'm glad Tegan married Dad. She's still pretty. She gives me better snacks than Dad does. Dad kisses her too much. I need to tell him to stop. Actually, never mind. I want another hot dog." One Saturday morning, I was standing behind the counter when Adrian walked in carrying a bouquet of flowers. I stared at him. "What did you do?" "Nothing." "That's suspicious." He smiled. "I came to see my wife." Graham, sitting nearby doing homework, immediately groaned. "Disgusting." Adrian ignored him. He handed me the flowers. I smiled. "Thank you." Graham's thoughts immediately started. Dad is still trying to impress her after they're already married. Pathetic. But the flowers are nice. Maybe I should buy flowers for Tegan too. I have $12. That's enough for one flower. I laughed. What? Nothing. That evening, after closing the store, the 3 of us walked home together. Graham walked between us, holding both our hands. He had grown taller. Healthier. Happier. The little boy who once believed he had to manipulate his father's life to protect himself had slowly stopped being afraid. And I knew why. He finally understood that people could leave without abandoning him. That love didn't have to be earned through fear. That family didn't have to be perfect to be real. When we reached the house, Graham suddenly stopped. "Tegan." "Yeah? Do you regret marrying Dad?" I looked at Adrian. He raised an eyebrow. "I'd also like to hear this answer." I laughed. "No." Graham smiled. "Good." Then he hugged my waist. "I don't regret it either." Adrian crouched beside us. "Even though your stepmother makes you eat vegetables?" Graham considered this carefully. "I regret the vegetables." I laughed so hard I nearly fell over. Then Graham whispered something. "What?" He looked embarrassed. "I used to think the livestream was right." My smile faded. "What livestream?" "The one that told me you were going to hurt me." I knelt in front of him. "You believe that?" "I was little." "You still are." "Hey." I hugged him. He hugged me back. "I don't know who made those comments," I said, "but they were wrong." Graham nodded. "I know." He pulled away. "Because evil stepmoms don't give away free hot dogs." I smiled. "Exactly." Adrian wrapped an arm around both of us. "And good fathers don't forget their son's birthday." Graham looked up. "You remembered this year?" "I planned your party 3 months ago." His eyes widened. "Seriously?" Adrian nodded. Graham threw himself at him. "Dad." I stood there laughing as they hugged. For the first time, the little boy who had once been terrified of losing his family looked completely secure. And honestly? So was I. I had moved back home looking for a quiet life. Instead, I found a husband, a son, and a convenience store full of memories. The store stayed open. The hot dog roller kept spinning. Graham kept eating half my inventory. And every evening, when he walked through the door and shouted, "I'm home," I always answered the same way. "Welcome home, little bro." Because sometimes the life you run away to find isn't the quiet one. It's the one where, after everything you've been through, you finally have people waiting for you when you come home.